Hey everyone, I'm here with Pastor Caleb.
Hey everybody.
And Caleb, we've known each other unofficially, I feel like, for about 6 or 7 years.
Yeah,
I guess
wow.
kind of while you were at the Oaks too, but then you've been here for 4 years?
Yeah, just over 4 years.
Okay. 4 years now, and just tell everyone what you do here at the church.
Yeah, so I'm the creative pastor at NCC, and so that was pretty recent. Was able to help transition NYC, a youth ministry, to Aaron Castellanos, and so now kind of over worship as well as production and our digital communication from the church, and so that's been really cool for me. Just feel like it's sort of a sweet spot for me and some of the giftings that I have in art and in creativity. So it's been a lot of fun over the past, it's like 6 or 8 months so far.
You've been doing that?
Yeah.
And in case you've never seen it, I'll give a quick shout out. You should go look at some of Caleb's art. Probably on Instagram is the best place for them to see some of that.
Yeah.
Because it is really amazing. Or I feel like in some of the videos you've done, it's kind of in the background. So
yeah, if you watch our online videos for them like the past couple months, you get a sneak peek at some of that stuff.
So we're coming up on Sabbath Sunday this week, and we're going to be looking at that as a church and just kind of focusing in on that. So I wanted us to be able to sit down and talk about how you practice that, what that looks like in your life.
Yeah. So
let's take a few moments and let's talk about it. So Caleb, the first question is this idea of Sabbath. Maybe give us a little bit of context, and then how long have you practiced that in your life?
Yeah, I mean, Sabbath was new to me when we started it together.
Yeah.
So our staff a couple years ago, like 2 years ago now, maybe. And like when we started reading the book Emotionally Healthy Leader, that's what really sparked the conversation for our team. That was the first time that we really heard about Sabbath or started to practice anything in regards to Sabbath. And so that brought a lot of context for what it meant in our, practically in our life.
Yeah.
So that was about 2 years ago, and we've been doing our best to regularly every week practice Sabbath since then. And so we've had some experience trying to figure it out, as well as all of our team together figuring it out, which has been pretty interesting, but honestly really helpful for us.
Yeah. As you've been doing this the past couple of years, what are some of the positive impacts that you've experienced?
Yeah, so I wrote down a few kind of headlines, and the first, because there are a lot of positive impacts that Sabbath has made in our lives, I think the first thing is that I'm living a lot more in the moment.
Okay.
It's really easy when you're working to just everything blends together. One day is the exact same as the next day because it's all just work. It's all just striving and doing our trying to move things ahead. And when we're able to step back because of Sabbath, I'm able to actually enjoy the moment, enjoy this week, what God has done, what have we been working towards. And without that moment in the week, it's just so easy to not be excited about the next day because it's exactly like the last day. And all of a sudden it all just becomes one sort of jumbled mess of work and hardship and struggle. And so Sabbath has helped me to take a step backwards and say, be able to actually look around me and see what is God doing around me? What have I been working towards? All of this that I've been working at this last week, I can enjoy it. I can be proud of what I've done because today is different. And that's really helped me to live in the moment, recognize what's going on this week, and not just be 1 year later and be what even happened? This is all blended and flew by me, and I didn't ever get a chance to recognize any of it. So that's been huge.
And I think it's kind of, I don't want to say crazy or whatever, but as we pause for one day, you really do see that impact those other days. So
yeah, for sure. And another thing is just I feel like I'm a lot better at just being with God. I will, throughout the week spend intentional personal time with God, but Sabbath has helped me recognize that every part of my life, not just this, morning time with him or that prayer time, like every part of my life is like intertwined with God.
Yeah.
And like the small moments where you're at the store around people, or you go on a walk, or like you're spending time at home, like those are moments like God's with me. And it's such a different perspective, because it's not like I have to sit down and like close my eyes for God to speak to me.
Yeah.
But I really think like God can speak to us in like the regular moments, because that's just living with him more than like he's contained in this one part of my life in the mornings.
Yeah.
Like God's everywhere. And Sabbath has helped me to recognize that, to like actually look around and say like, man, your creation is so beautiful. Like, Jesus, thank you for the blessings in my life, like how you've been encouraging me, how you've been speaking to me. And then that just translates to every other day, like recognizing that just naturally, and like on a drive, be like, wow, God, you are so good. Instead of like, well, I can't say that yet, I'm not in my prayer moment, know? And so that's been huge, being able to see like God is really everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Man, this is difficult. Like, as we started it, even that shift in our lifestyle and our pace, like this is something that's hard. And so, for everyone listening in on this conversation, I don't know if you can remember back, I know you said like, hey, it's kind of hard to think before, but what were some of those kind of difficult moments, or even right now, 2 years into it, and we're still working on, honoring this and keeping this. What are some of the difficulties of trying to keep a Sabbath?
Yeah, I think the first thing is like I mentioned, like no one else is doing it.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful that our team was doing it together, figuring it out, because that's like huge support. And like, this is hard. Is this what we're supposed to be doing? It's like, yeah, we're trying. Let's keep going. But no one else is doing it. Like people in my life, even, like family members or close friends, like they're not practicing Sabbath like this.
Yeah.
And that just makes it hard, because if I'm trying to sort of make this radical change in how my week looks, other people are going to be planning stuff on the days I have Sabbath. Like other people are going to be doing stuff. I'm going to be seeing other people share what they're producing on the days I'm trying to rest and sit back. And then there's this pressure, like, man, should I be doing this? Should I be producing right now? Like it just naturally makes it feel like, am I as important to the world as this person? Because I'm not really contributing today.
Yeah.
And so like, that's just hard to wrestle with. And so, that itself is just hard. Like no one else is doing it. And I'm not saying that's a reason to not do it. I think that's helps you see the contrast in how our world is and what we're supposed to be, what, God intended us for us to do.
Yeah.
But it does make it difficult. And I think that as you are starting Sabbath, you have to anticipate it. Mm-hmm. And so if anybody's watching, if you're thinking about beginning Sabbath, anticipate that. Like, it's going to be difficult. There are going to be people who aren't doing it too. And so you're going to be fighting that a lot as you're making that a habit. I think the other thing is, when you're moving so fast for so long, it's really hard to slow down. Yeah. It's really hard to stop. Because if you think about like a car's moving really fast, or if you're running really fast, you can't just quickly stop. Like you're gonna fall over and hurt yourself. Like you gotta like slow down. It's a process. And so I think like right away, a lot of us are just used to moving at the pace of the world around us, and then want to have Sabbath. We start it 1 week, and then it's like, what is happening? Like I can't stop like thinking, feeling anxious. Like this is supposed to be restful, and feel like this is really uncomfortable. This is not what it's supposed to be like. And then like it's over. Like this is it's not working. I'm gonna quit. And like just know that Sabbath is a process to get into that routine, into that habit. And when you've been moving so fast for so long, it feels uncomfortable to slow down. Yeah. And when it might take a few weeks to feel like you're actually enjoying it, actually restful, actually at peace on that day. Yeah. And so there isn't a reason to quit. It's a reason to keep moving forward, because you're recognizing like how much like you are off pace with what Sabbath is supposed to be.
Kind of walk us through, you've done this for a couple of years now. Walk us through, what is your typical Sabbath day look like? And I know it may vary from week to week, but are there some things that you try to keep consistent as you're practicing that?
Yeah, there are certain things that we've kept consistent, and then there are also a few things that, as we've learned a bit more, even just been reminded of it lately, that we want to implement that maybe we hadn't before. But for us, we have Friday off, and so that makes Friday sort of a starting point for us.
Yeah.
A lot of people may be working on Friday, so I understand that. Maybe it's Saturday or even Sunday. But for us, Friday is like the most open kind of free day. And so we take advantage of that. So Thursday evening until Friday evening, it's like our 24-hour Sabbath period. And so something that we really want to kind of move forward in is like something to represent like the beginning, like the mark of the beginning of Sabbath, which would just help like physically get in that space, like mentally know like Sabbath has begun, like turn the phone off, like let's rest and let's enjoy it. And so like you guys light a candle. I think that's a really great like mark. We may start doing that. Something I've done before that I do want to continue to do more is like have a journal. I do it digitally, but there's a certain note I look at and I'll write down 3 things I'm grateful for from the week before. And so it's like, this is my moment to sort of shift my mental space. I'm going to, shift to this more grateful, open and like restful space where I'm like, I'm going to say 3 things I'm grateful for this week. And this is how I'm beginning. Like I know that things are different from the next 24 hours. So something to begin that Sabbath. This will probably be more like in dinner time for us. So that meal together will also be sort of the beginning as well. And then I want to turn my phone off. Maybe not the entire Sabbath, but at least Thursday night, like the rest of that evening. Like help me just like disconnect. It's not about work. It's not about even having to keep up with everything going on. And so that's just helping to shift into like Sabbath mode, you know, like for the next 24 hours, things are different. And then it's just like, we might watch a movie together, play a game together. And like that night is just like, enjoy it. Start that rest. And Friday we wake up, sleep in, like take our time. On a lot of times I would take my watch off because I just am so aware of the time. And I'd like look and like, what time is it? How much time am I spending on this? Because I want to be a productive full day. So if I'm spending a whole hour on this one thing, it's too much. So anyways, I would take my watch off. So then I can just spend whatever feels right in that time. It's reading my Bible, or it's like going on a walk, or whatever the activity might be. That helps me not be worried about things being a certain way or filling the day in a certain way. So I would do that. And then Friday is just like, what are things that bring us joy that we really like get fulfilled with? And we love going outside. So maybe going to the lake or going on a hike, going on a walk together. I would play basketball with friends sometimes. And then like watching a movie together or a TV show. And like that is really enjoyable for us. And then like a part of Sabbath is contemplating the Lord and being with God. And so like spending some time in the Bible, spending some time praying. And something that's been really huge for Alita and I has been to pray together. We haven't done it quite as often as I'd like to, but Sabbath is a perfect opportunity to have this moment where we would sit down together, look each other in the eye, say like, this is what you can be praying for me about. Like, what do you want me to pray with you about? We'd lay hands on each other, like pray for each other. And like, it's just, that moment is so unique. And, we have both like followed the Lord for a long time. We got married and like God's the center of our lives. But like that moment of like us together, like going to God was so impactful for us. And so like intimate together, but with the Lord. And so if you're married and watching this, and I would suggest, regardless of if Sabbath becomes this regular part of your life, spend time with your spouse and like pray with them. To say those words in front of each other and to speak life into each other is like transformed the way that we interact with each other and with God.
So if people are they're going to start this, like maybe, they're hearing about this. We've talked a little bit about it before, but they're like, hey, I'm going to do this now.
Yeah.
You have one or two tips that, hey, just as you're getting started, I know you've already mentioned a few things, but here are one or two things to kind of keep in front of you as you're starting this practice.
I did want to mention a couple books that we've read that have helped us. The first one is Emotionally Healthy Leader, and that's Pete Scazzero, right?
Yep.
I get the authors mixed up, but Pete Scazzero writes Emotionally Healthy Leader and Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. Both of those books have been huge in bringing context, understand like why are we doing Sabbath, like how does it practically look in my life. So I would definitely suggest those books, as well as Garden City that we've just finished as a staff, and that helps again, like that was a reminder for us, but gives a lot of kind of biblical context and big picture, why do we do Sabbath. So those help a lot.
I'm going to jump in with the guy that wrote Garden City, that's John Mark Comer, also wrote a book called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. I think it's a little bit more recent, but he does a great job, kind of how do we slow down in Sabbath, and so that's another good one. If you read all four, I promise you won't be sorry.
I'm sure that Sabbath will feel like necessary if you read those books. And then I would just say start with something. It can be really intimidating to think like, I can't make 24 hours of my week. There's way too much going on. And so that's just really hard to picture. But I would say start with something. Maybe it's a few hours. Maybe it's one evening where you're able to say, this is blocked off. This is about life. This is about joy with the Lord. This is about Sabbath. And that's somewhere to begin. I would say that, like, remember the end goal is that this is a full 24 hours in your week. And the difficulty of making that happen, I think, shows like how important it is. And so I would suggest like that's your end goal, but start with something. And even if it's a few hours, it's better than not doing anything. So I would start with that. And then I would say start now. Like try it. Especially if you're watching at this point of the video, if you watch this whole thing, like Sabbath is important to you. You can feel it. So start it. Like try that this weekend or whatever space in your week that feels right for you and your family. Make it happen. Try it out. It's going to take some time to make it a habit, but you got to start now. Next week is going to be harder than this week. Like right now is as easy as it's ever going to be to actually begin. And then I would say write down a list of things that you really love to do.
That's good.
That'll help to bring this guide of like what Sabbath could be filled with, what you could be doing. And that was really fun for me to do. Like I hadn't really done it before, but like, and if I had a day to just do things I loved to do, I really enjoyed, what would it be like? And like, it's fun to dream about what a day free could look like, and a day with the Lord, a day to just enjoy it. And I'll just encourage anybody who's watching, if you're wanting to start Sabbath, it's going to be difficult to begin. It's difficult to make the time. It's difficult to slow down your life, but it's worth it. And you just got to keep at it. There are going to be obstacles. It's going to be difficult, but you have to keep at it. If you miss 1 week, that's okay. Don't get discouraged. Don't quit on it, but don't miss the next week. Make it intentional. Make that a priority for your week and your family, because Sabbath has changed our lives completely. I feel like closer to the Lord, more in sync with Him, and I really believe that Sabbath will do that for you as well. And for anyone who intentionally makes that a regular rhythm, regular practice of their week, if they keep at it.
So I mean, we love this. It's obviously like changed us, so we wanted to share this conversation with you. And so Caleb, man, I feel like that was so good. Anyone that's watching this, has a good picture and kind of some places to start. So thank you so much just for sharing for your experiences, and how this has impacted you. Really, really appreciate it. So thanks, you guys.